One of Canada's most prominent energy companies is pulling up stakes. That says Encana announces plans to re-domicile to the United States and change its name to Affintiv. Joining us now is the company's CEO, Doug Suttles. Doug, great to have you with us. Thank you for your time. How long has this been in the works?
Well, we've been working on this for a while. I mean, we've transformed our company over the last 5 to 6 years, and a number of things have occurred inside that time frame. We're now one of the largest unconventional producers in the world, and we produce a large amount of crude and condensate, not just natural gas like we used to. And of course, we're focused in North America and Canada and the United States. And we actually are one of the most today successful companies, but that wasn't fully recognized in the value of our stock. So we began work to understand what we need to do to get that fully recognized, and discovered that we were missing out on the considerable and growing trend of passive investing and needed to be able to tap into that.
Interesting. So when it comes to passive investing, some funds, domicile is obviously a factor in some passive funds, but many are okay with listings in one place or another. You have an NYSE listing already, so it's not as if you're not available to those passive funds. So how much does this really move the needle?
Well, when we look at our U.S. peers, because certain of the big passive funds, like an S&P 500 index fund, being a Canadian company, we can't be in those indexes, so we're missing out, and those are quite large passive pools. But when we compare ourselves to our U.S. peers, we're about 10% passively held, and they're more than 30. So you can imagine how important that could be. And of course, you also know how significant the growth is in passive investing.
You say that you don't want this to be sort of a negative reflection on Canada, but invariably it's going to be. How much do you think this might dent morale of the Canadian industry? How much are you seeing a flight from foreign investment into Canada at the moment through the energy policies?
Well, I think that, first of all, I'd say that in the communities we operate, the places we have a presence, this has no change. I'm in Calgary today, and what we do in Calgary and our workforce and the number of employees doesn't change. Our investment plans in Canada don't change. The taxes we pay in the country also don't change. This was really just about accessing these larger capital pools. It wasn't in any way a reflection of politics. We have a very successful business here in Canada that's actually been growing, and it generates very competitive returns.
So if it's to access this larger pool of capital, I wonder whether it leads to any kind of operational changes. Is this a prelude to more M&A in the United States, for instance?
No, it isn't. We have a solid business. We wouldn't have to do that. We wouldn't have to change our domicile to do that. But we have a very good, high quality and deep portfolio today on both sides of the border, and are prosecuting that very effectively. I mean, just today in our third quarter results, we announced that not only did we grow, we generated $250 million of free cash flow.
And Doug, lastly, but almost more importantly, Affintiv. What does it mean? Why have you picked it?
Well, I think that one of the things, we're a different company than we were 6 years ago. Both, not only things like portfolio, but culture and how we work. And also, we know how important this debate today is around energy and climate. And we think we need to move these conversations on about the role that energy plays in the modern world. And we think that a name that more reflects the modern world and is progressive and draws people in to explore that is quite powerful. So as we thought of the domicile change, we also thought it was time to do a name change and be somewhat provocative in that process, both with the name and the logo. And it is. It's generating great conversations in this very first day with employees and members of government and the community.